What is Manyora and what is your point of order?
Ni Senator Karware amesema mambo ya hii kaunti 11 tunataka tuongezewe pesa, na kaunti senator wengine hawa 11 wengine wako kwa Munyoro. Sasa nataka nimwambie tu kaunti 47 hatuko mambo ya Munyoro ama si wa Munyoro. Hiyo ndio nataka nimfahamishe.
Senator Khalwale, can you withdraw your reference to Wamunyoro? We don't know, this house does not know what that means.
In fact, Madam Speaker, I wish I had commenced my debate in Swahili. Madam Speaker, if you allow me quote unquote, pengine kaa ningefanya hivyo, Mheshimiwa Senator wa Embu angenielewa.
Senator Khalwale, I'll give an exception to this. Can you explain in Kiswahili for the Senate?
Madam Speaker, Mheshimiwa Senator wa Embu angenielewa. Sikuwa nafanyia Senator wa Nyandarua madharau. Nilikuwa nataka kumkumbusha kwamba, kwa sababu is a new member, kwamba agenda kubwa ya nchi ya kaunti, kama unataka kusukuma, nafasi yenye unapewa katika bunge ya Kenya ni kubwa kuliko ile unapata nyumbani. Ndio nikatumia jina wa Munyoro, badala ya Munyoro ningesema Malinya huko kwetu, Madam Speaker. So anielewe, sio kumtania.
So Wamunyoro refers to a place?
To a village. Just like Malinya, Wishiangala.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you. So,
Senator Morango.
Mr. Speaker, nadhani pia ni makosa. Na unajua Waswahili husema samaki wote hunuka lakini wanamshuku kambari. Kiongozi wangu Bwana Harwale kuna siku ambayo hakuangi pia kwa Senate kwa sababu tofauti. Kama juzi alikuwa na mtoto mdogo na sikumuona huku. Mr. Speaker, wakati Senator wa Kakamega kiongozi wetu akisema kwamba Senator Medhu ako wa Munyoro, na hajaambiwa na Mheshimiwa Medhu kama ako wa Munyoro ama ako sehemu zingine, kwa sababu najua mahali yako na sio wa Munyoro. Ni haki kweli, kwa sababu si vizuri kusema Senator Medhu ameenda wa Munyoro akakosa kuja katika bunge la Senate. Kuna watu wanaomchagua na wanamtusikiza siku ya leo.
Senator Khalwale, to the extent that you have suggested that a particular senator is in a place called Wamunyoro, please withdraw and continue with the debate.
Madam Speaker, I withdraw the word Wamunyoro. So, Madam Speaker, speaking on behalf of the great people of Nyandarua, if we go by the simulation, I was appealing to the senator of Nyamira, because it is arbitrary, it is not scientific. Since you have left out Nyandarua in your arbitrary selection of 11 counties, you are adding these 11 counties 405 million, and in the process, the formula that affords Nyandarua to move at its own pace, you have now made it to drag behind the other counties simply because you did not play affirmative action. Don't do it. We've given you an inch, accept it, don't demand for a mile. Madam Speaker, relax, Nyamira. Madam Speaker, I say this with absolute respect to all the 47 counties of Kenya. And Madam Speaker, I therefore want to appeal to colleagues that the route for us to go, having accepted 2 billion as affirmative action, the route for us to go is to focus on the national economy. It performs better, there be better physical management, so that more money is available for sharing, and so that counties can perform better on on-source revenue. Allow me to appeal to the governor and senator of the following counties. 1, Kisumu. 2, Homa Bay. 3, Siaya. 4, Busia. 5, Migori. You have an opportunity like no other county in Kenya to grow your own source revenue because of the God-sent gift of Lake Victoria. I would be appealing to the Senate to allow the senators of these counties, Madam Speaker, for a trip. You can choose to go to Finland, or choose to go to Estonia, or go to Sweden, or go to Norway. You see how they play with their legs. When I was last in Estonia, many years ago, one of the things you cannot afford to leave is that because you have a sunken visa, they allow you to keep on shifting between Estonia and Finland and Norway without any disturbance. And you pay a very small fee for the cruise ships. In those cruises, they have capacities of 400, 600, 800 people. And Madam Speaker, they are forever full. And the little money that they make there, they have perfected the blue economy there in terms of transport. I live and pray that you guys from those, youth leaders from those counties, you take advantage of Lake Victoria. We want to see cruise ships from Kisumu to Homa Bay, to Kendu Bay, to Seaport, to Port Victoria, to Entebbe, to Bokafu, and to Mwanza. You will make billions of shillings out of on-source revenue. That's the route to go. Don't fight for this little 2 billion shillings that this Senate wants to gift you. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with the Senator of Homa Bay when he says, if we start fellowships amongst counties, we can start a fellowship with the Vihiga County, Taita Taveta County, Homa Bay County, Kakamega County, and Marsabit County, where we have serious mineral resource. And we will demand that we want affirmative action. The amount of gold in Kakamega is so serious, Madam Speaker, that the President and his government, in his wisdom, they have decided for all the gold that will be mined in Kakamega, in all the gold mining counties of Kenya, and in all the gold mining countries of East Africa, the refinery will be built at Mulidambisa in Ekolomani, and that construction is ongoing. We need, Madam Speaker, to speak louder to this, because the old leadership wants to confine us in small talk, like the talk of 405 billion shillings, when we should be talking about bigger resource that we can share as a republic. Madam Speaker, the issue of sharing, I have told you, if they make us to think small, they disrupt our thinking big. Look, why can't we sit our governors, or we take over as governors, and think big the way in 1965 Singapore did think big? They had a very small economy, but because of thinking big, they were able to make simple decisions of governance, like human resource. The president said, we are not going to hire you for any other reason. We will hire you because of competence. In Kenya today, like many other failing African countries, we should change professionals so as to hire relatives, so as to hire friends, so as to hire members of our families. The end result, Madam Speaker, is that our professionals working in the same system who are denied promotion, they become disenfranchised and they don't perform. We have a great chance today. We have got over 40 universities churning out young, brilliant professionals. I dream and hope to live to see a country where a youth can be able to apply online, and purely because of the content of his academic excellence, he is able to defeat the son of Dr. Khalwale, who he beat in the university. Even when Khalwale is the senator of Kakamega, the child gets the job ahead of mine. And I say that with equal appliance to the children of all the senators in this house today, and all the ministers, and even the president. We want our children to compete equally, because if a child is good, he's good. It's just like running a 100-meter race, Senator Osotsi. You will either run under 10 seconds because you are Ferdinand Omanyala, or you will not. Let our children compete. That is the essence of fairness, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to beg the leader of the majority. Leader of majority, you have been very persuasive 2 times in your contribution about rewarding performance. I agree with you. That is the way it should be. But you are dealing with crooks. This is not the first time we have tried to recognize and reward physical effort. You know how they responded? When they discovered that we were using on-source revenue, they then said, we want to look like from the previous year to the current year, we improved so as to attract that funding. So what did they do? They say, my county has the potential to raise 300 million. And then the following year, they end up raising 700 million. So you have no choice but to say that they have done well. When actually they were rigging, the county already had the potential to get over 700, so they pegged it low, they get a higher percentage, and they con all of us. We are dealing with Kenyans, people with no integrity whatsoever. How such criminals have found themselves in places of high calling, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Mondege?
Madam Speaker, nataka niseme Karware aseme katika Kenya County 47 ni nani crooks? Ni senators ama ni governors ama ni MPs? Hata kama anajua tuelewi Kiingereza tunakielewa vizuri sana.
Senator Khalwale, who are the crooks?
Madam Speaker, unless you are a visitor in Jerusalem, you know that there are no angels in the positions of leadership. That's why we have dealt in a very short time with several cases of impeachment. That is why this House already has, I think, a record of 13 cases of attempt of impeachment. Is usually...
Just name who the crooks are.
Yes. The crooks are the leaders who are elected in office without integrity. If you want to give me an opportunity to name them, let me name them next time round so that I come with a substantive motion.
That is fine.
Madam Speaker, I have been supporting Nyandaro in the absence of my son. He would like to inform me. Can you
Senator Methu, you may inform.
Thank you very much. And I think also Senator Boni must drop, he must now stop calling me his son, because I saw that he has a newborn. And already my son is already 6 years. So it cannot be that my brother is a newborn and I'm already a father of a 6-year-old. You are getting a kid every day, Senator Boni. But the most substantive point that I wanted to inform Senator Boni, yes, in referring to crooks in his submission, he meant governors who inflate their own source revenue so that they can beat the requirement in terms of raising their so they'll say that we have improved our own source from 300 to 700. But in essence, their potential is not even 700. It's even more than 1 billion. So in terms of rewarding people who have done well, they are rewarded in whereas they have not done well.
The senator of Nyandarua. The senator of Nyandarua has corrected me that I should never call him my son. In fact, I'm not going to call him my son again until he comes in having shaved his beard and combed his hair so that he can look his really young age. Madam Speaker, as I thank you for that information, distinguished senator from Nyandarua, I wish the standing orders would have allowed you to speak to the senator of Embu in Kikuyu, Kiembu, and Kimeru. I was not brought here to come and teach you.
Order, Senator Halwale, can you finish your recommendation? Debate. Your time is up, actually. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, first of all, I stand here to support the amendments by Senator for Nyamira and say that the amendments proposed by Senator of Nyamira is a product of negotiations. It is not his own amendments. It is as a result of negotiations. We sat down with the chair of the Committee for Finance. We talked to a number of senators, including the majority leader, including Senator Halwale, and we came here because we thought that there was some white smoke coming out. Madam Speaker, when we talk about the formulas, remember now, we have 4 formulas now. We have the formula proposed by the Commission for Revenue Allocation. We have the initial formula that was proposed by the Finance Committee, and we have an amended formula by the Finance Committee, which was proposing that the formula be amended so that the 11 counties share an additional 2 billion shillings. And then now we have Senator Omogeni's amendment, which is proposing that instead of the 2 billion that the Finance Committee is proposing, we increase it to 4.5 billion. And Mr. Speaker, every member who has been standing here has not categorically opposed the amendment by Senator Omogeni. What they have been asking us is to justify these amendments. And I want to justify by saying that I happen to have contributed to the initial motion on this matter, where I clearly indicated that the formula proposed by CRA seemed to have favored the so-called smaller counties in a fundamental way. And I said that, for example, Elgeyo Marakwet was gaining 150 million under the CRA. Isiolo was gaining 900 million under CRA. Kirinyaga, Lamu was gaining about 400 million by CRA compared to the committee. The Laikipia was gaining about 210 million by CRA. Nyamira was gaining about 90 million by CRA. Taita Taveta was gaining 240 million by CRA. Tharaka Nithi was gaining 270 by CRA. Vihiga was gaining 350 by CRA. And Samburu was gaining about 300 million by CRA. So if CRA was giving us more money, and our own finance committee is giving us less money, we needed a balance.
Senators, can we listen, please?
We needed to get somewhere in the middle. And that is why we came
Senator
up
Morango, please.
with a figure of 4.5 billion shillings, Madam Speaker. So the figure of 4.5 billion is like a stabilization factor between the formula that was initially proposed by CRA and the formula that was initially proposed by the Finance Committee. So we were getting somewhere in the middle. But Madam Speaker, if you talk about 2 billion, then we will still be below what CRA was proposing to give the small county. And we do not want to be in a situation where we will all say we would rather go for CRA and not the committee. We want to trust our own members here who sit on the Finance Committee, but can we have a balance? The balance that we are seeking is what Senator Omogeni is proposing in this formula, that instead of the Finance Committee giving us an affirmative fund of 2 billion, let them give us 4.5 billion so that we get somewhere in the middle between what the committee initially proposed and what CRA had given us. That is the basis of the 4.5 billion shillings. And Madam Speaker, you must note that in this formula, no county is losing. No single county is losing because of the baseline allocation of 387 billion. That is what we are currently getting. So no one is losing. In fact, the formula has 3 parts. It has the baseline ratio of 387.425 billion, and then it has affirmative aspect of 4.5 billion, and then it has the third component which shares out the difference. So every county is gaining. What we are simply saying, as we affirm the counties which get more money to go up, let us also affirm the small counties, the 11 small counties, so that they also reach somewhere near where the big counties are. So, Madam Speaker, we are not asking for much. And Madam Speaker, if you do basic arithmetic, based on this formula, yes, the 11 counties will each get an additional 4 or 5 million. But in this formula, based on the 4 or 5 billion, the bigger counties, the remaining counties, will all get an average of 279 million shillings. So, Madam Speaker, if you do a simple arithmetic from all these, you take 4 or 5 which we are getting, minus 279 million, which the rest are getting, then you see the difference is about 220 million. Surely, if you are getting billions of money, you mean, members, you cannot sympathize with the small counties by just giving them an extra 200 million. So, in short, Madam Speaker, what we are saying is that we are not asking for much. We are simply saying, and everyone here appreciates, based on the debate that was there last time, that the smaller counties are really suffering. If it is based on that fact, then 200 billion shillings on top of what the others are getting as an extra on 387 is not asking for too much, Madam Speaker. So we are begging our colleagues, please think about us. And as we say, this money is going to the people. It is not going to the senators. It is going to the people we represent. Madam Speaker, the Constitution provides under Article 203 for affirmative action. And it also talks about ensuring that there is no economic disparities within and among counties. If we go with the formulas that we have had before, in the first series, second series, third series, then we are not complying with the Constitution. And Madam Speaker, I said here when I was making my contribution, God forbid, if we pass this formula without taking care of Article 203(1) of the Constitution, with this country which has become litigious, tomorrow someone will go to court and the whole process will stop. We do not want to reach there. We are simply saying, can we have an element of affirmative action in this formula so that we don't open up risks for people going to court to challenge the formula that will come out of this process. Madam Speaker, we have also been challenged to demonstrate why we need more money. Madam Speaker, if you come from a small county, there is no factor that favors you. Population factor does not favor you. Even if you go to sectorial factors like health, water, whatever it is, it does not favor you. Even poverty does not favor you. Because incidentally, the smaller counties are also poor in many ways. For example, my own county, Madam Speaker, if you have people living on a quarter-acre piece of land, a big family, that is already poverty, Madam Speaker. What kind of poverty are you looking? You cannot farm. You cannot do anything else. You can only consume. So, Madam Speaker, the smaller counties are suffering. Number two, Madam Speaker, let us also look at the inherited factors at the advent of devolution. These counties inherited, for example, staff establishment from the defunct local authorities, which had almost the same staff establishment across all the local authorities in the country. They inherited that. The staff that Kakamega inherited from defunct local authority is almost the same number that Vihiga inherited. And they just did a top-up. We are talking about many factors that these counties inherited and which they have to spend on. Madam Speaker, I also want to refer members to other jurisdictions that do this kind of thing, that have strong devolution. And I'll pick an African example. If you go to Nigeria, they have been doing revenue sharing since 1954, even before they got independence. And they have gone through experiences. And now their formula has matured. And you know what they decided? They decided that they were going to adapt a concept that was going to ensure equality of states. In our case, equality of counties. And they said that the minimum share per state shall be 40%. 40%. of the total money that is shareable. And they also said population, they'll peg it at 30%. They'll peg health, water, and other infrastructure at 10%, and 10% on land. Why don't we adopt the same, Madam Speaker? If we want to ensure devolution works for everyone, let us adopt the same, so that instead of fighting for which count is big, which count is small, we agree on a significant percentage that is going to be shared equally. Yes, the committee has tried to put in an equal share of 35%, but that 35% is on only about 13 billion shillings. That is very little. How I thought they should put that 35% on the bigger figure of 405 billion, so that we make sense to all the counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the issue of third generation formula, some of the factors that have been put there are not based on sound data, Madam Speaker, including population. Population figures in Kenya have been challenged in court. Madam Speaker, even the factor on health, which was in the third series, it is also challengeable, Madam Speaker. And that's why, if you look at other jurisdictions, like I've given you Nigeria, the figures, the factors they have picked are fewer and accurate. They talk about land, they talk about health, water, they talk about population, but they give significance to equal share. We should do the same. And I think the Commission for Revenue Allocation, which is tasked with giving us this formula, I think they need to do a lot more, so that when they bring a formula here, we don't spend a lot of time arguing over it, because it is based on solid facts, it is based on solid data, and is agreeable. Otherwise, if they don't do that, I'm beginning to think that CRA has no purpose in this country. It would even serve the purpose by just being a department in Parliament. Because if you spend 5 years and you come up with a formula here that creates controversy, a lot of argument, and you have done it for 5 years, and you exist, then your existence now is questionable, Madam Speaker. Why are you there? So we want a formula that is going to uplift everyone, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, going back to the example I gave of Nigeria, they have adopted a concept of ensuring fairness and encouraging industry. That is encouraging the states or the counties to produce more. What is it in this formula that motivates the counties to produce more? We want to give a county more money because they have idle land. And we are fighting so hard on that. So we must ensure that we also think about how we can develop a formula that encourages counties to do more. And that's why I like the idea of physical effort, physical responsibility. What effort are counties doing to generate on-source revenue? What efforts are counties doing to ensure there is physical discipline? To ensure that there is a physical effectiveness in the counties. And I think that's where CRA should put more focus so that they can develop data and benchmark for determining physical responsibilities in our counties. I know some of these counties that we are giving a lot of money, Madam Speaker. Some of them, they don't even spend that money in their counties. They spend that money in Nairobi. We know that. That is the truth. Money is given. You see big buildings coming up in Nairobi, but there is nothing tangible on the ground. Maybe the only thing they can do is to give bursaries. But again, that bursaries, because I sit in the committee that oversights bursaries, is given to people who don't even stay in that county. They originate from those counties but stay in other counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there is also the factor of capital flight, which small counties are suffering from. For example, Madam Speaker, in my county, because we don't have enough money for infrastructure, because we cannot build good hospitals, because we cannot have proper housing, all the people who work in the county stay either in Kakamega or in Kisumu. So eventually our money goes to big counties again. How do we help these counties so that they have enough money to do development, and therefore they generate more, and therefore they generate more on-source revenue, and therefore that encourages industry growth in those counties? Madam Speaker, I also want to agree with Senator Kajwang when he says, even as we discuss about this formula, let us also discuss on how to push for more money. And Madam Speaker, you know, in our division for revenue,
Your time is up. 1 minute. Finish with 1 minute, yeah.
So in 465, that should be our biggest battle, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, because there is no justification why counties should not be added money. Counties have now carried the burden of housing levy. They have carried the burden of enhanced NSSF. They have carried the burden of the county aggregation and industrial park, paying for stipend for CHPs, Dr. CBA, and many other things, Madam Speaker. The national government will do a favor by increasing this money to 465 billion shillings. And Madam Speaker, as the deputy party leader of ODM, I want to say that we have signed an agreement with UDA that we need 450 billion. If they do not support this, we will review this MOU. Because that is the most important aspect of that MOU. We cannot say we have signed an MOU and we are not going to give Kenya 450 billion.
Your time is up. Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also make my contribution. Madam Speaker, the first time this motion came and the chairman of the Finance Committee wanted to move it, I was one of the many senators who persuaded the chairman not to debate this motion, not to move it. Instead, we should favor a kamkunji or informal negotiations. And Madam Speaker, that idea was carried, and we came here for the first negotiations. Madam Speaker, when I came here, I was pulling on the side of Tana River. I tried to tell the chair that we should twerk some of the indices, like the poverty index and the geographical landmass. But Madam Speaker, I was persuaded here by colleagues that let us not disturb the formula, because as we stand now, we are not losing any money. All the counties are gaining marginally. So, Madam Speaker, another thing we agreed in that Kamkunji was that all of us will speak as senators of the Republic of Kenya. We were not going to be pulling on our side. We were going to try and find a middle ground. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, may I be protected?
Order, senators, Kenya Senator. Okay, they have.
Madam Speaker, unfortunately, these agreements that we made in the Kamkunji seem to have disappeared or dissipated somewhere along the way.
Senator
Madam Speaker,
Mogeni and your team, you are actually too loud.
Madam Speaker, we agreed as a principle that we are going to make sure that no county loses any money. And then we also agreed that, and in those Kamkunjis, Madam Speaker, we agreed that, okay, there are 11 counties which were read out to us, and let us add 2 billion so that we can support them. In the same Kamkunji, Madam Speaker, that 2 billion figure was agreed because we were talking here. Some people were saying 1, some people were saying 3, some people were saying let's then put it at 2. It was an arbitrary figure that was agreed upon. So, Madam Speaker, we left here knowing that we have basically agreed, and we agreed that the Honorable Senator Robert Chair will come and move this motion on the floor of the House. And that if anybody has a better idea, then they will do like what Senator Robert did, because Senator Robert brought in a simulation. And so that you can see from county number 1 to county number 47 what exactly we are getting and under which amounts, how much each county is getting. Madam Speaker, I personally felt and very strongly saw that we must support. Everybody must gain. So our younger brothers or the smaller counties, we must support them so that they as a principle, we must support them. And Madam Speaker, even in our custom, and I'm informed by our custom, you don't argue with your younger brother. If you are fighting over land and you are older, it is better for you to leave that piece of land and go and find another piece of land, buy it. But you don't fight with your younger brother. In fact, Madam Speaker, if your younger brother visits you in Nairobi or in your house, he has the laxity or the latitude to sleep in your house if he wants, if he's so inclined. His wife, his family, they can sleep in your house. But I can't go to my brother's house and sleep there. Those are some of the things. If I go, my wife and children can sleep, but I can't sleep there. This informs the principle that we must take care of our younger brother. It's African. It is what it is. So we agree, absolutely, Madam Speaker, and it is coming from a deep conviction that we must carry everybody together. So, Madam Speaker, having left here that Kamkunji, knowing that we are coming to move a motion, and there was an amendment that was going to be brought at 2 billion shillings. Then, in fact, there was no mention of 4 billion, Madam Speaker. It was at the maximum, it was 3 billion, and the minimum was 1 billion. And we said 2 billion. When we were living here, Madam Speaker, I was very happy because I was sure we have agreed on something. So, Madam Speaker, it came as a shock to me when an amendment was moved. Now we are talking about 4.6 billion, Madam Speaker, more than twice what we had agreed. No basis has been made for that, Madam Speaker. And very good arguments have been made here by Senator Wambua that, number one, we did the factoring, the 0.387 factor, which equalized all of us. Number two, the 35% share, we also equalized. And then number three, we were putting 2 billion for our brothers. So argument, and I was listening very carefully, Madam Speaker, the argument is our brothers representing the 11 counties were going to get at least 3 times in terms of accommodation. Madam Speaker, then today, I see an amendment motion that says we will get twice, more than twice what we had agreed. Madam Speaker, the correct thing they should have done is to call for a fresh Kamkunji. They should have brought simulations here to show us that what they are saying, first of all, will not reduce on what we are supposed to all of us get. And secondly, Madam Speaker, that they are not taking advantage of the fact that we agreed so quickly with them. So, Madam Speaker, my own take is that they are pushing their luck too much. It's like I said the other day, that when you are swimming in the sea, and then you get a misfortune, and one of the rocks cuts you just a little bit, and the blood starts leaking, then all the carnivorous sea creatures come for you because there's blood. They have smelt blood, and they will not stop until they finish with you. So, Madam Speaker, I'm wondering why this kind of, behavior. Why can't you just be content? We said that let us start with this little bit. In fact, there was no harm in that agreement. I've tried to listen to Honorable Ososi to see if he can move me from where I am. I've tried to listen to Honorable Mogeni, who moved the amendment, Honorable Kisang, who seconded the amendment. I'm trying to see what is it that will justify that an informal agreement of 2 billion reserved for them, and it goes to more than twice. I've tried to listen, and Madam Speaker, unfortunately, I have not been convinced. I would request, when that money is finally given to our colleagues, it's going to be 181 million. 181 million that 37 counties are not getting. This is 181 million that is going to them. And Madam Speaker, now, as the debates are going on, it is becoming clear that, in fact, some of the so-called small counties are raising revenues of over 1 billion shillings. And we were given an example of Laikipia County. And I know as we continue with this debate, more things will come out, like the question and the reasoning behind why should all the counties get 181 million. Why can't we now develop another micro formula that justifies, another county getting 200, another one getting 100? And Madam Speaker, people are going to shift positions. We had agreed that we were not going to disturb the formula. But then now, again, the issue of financial responsibility is coming. And people are saying, no, let us twerk the poverty index. So let's cut it by 2%, 2.5. And Madam Speaker, the whole thing is going to open up. Why? Because people are not listening. When you have a deal, take it fast. Hold it. You are not going to convince 37 counties to give you 4 billion. And we had agreed at 2 billion. It's going to be very difficult. And then more things are going to come up, Madam Speaker. This whole thing is going to, in fact, now one of the speakers is even saying that let us stand down this motion, we wait for the mediation, we wait for DORA to be confirmed, we wait for everything. Madam Speaker, we had a deal. The deal was on the table, and we were going to confirm it, and we were going to vote for it, clean heart. And now it is going to debate. It's opening up so many fronts, Madam Speaker. My prayer, and I plead with my colleagues, my prayer is that you step down this push. You allow people to just accommodate what they had taken. They had agreed 181 million for each one of you. They were not questioning many things. They were just saying, we are accommodating on principle. Step down on this. Let's not open all these fronts, Madam Speaker. Let us agree that we are going to reserve that 2 billion. People are now talking about let's ring fence, let's do what? And it's because you are lengthening this thing. You get a deal, run away with it. Madam Speaker, I am begging my colleagues who are in this 11, now people are even saying we are going to caucus. Now somebody is saying I'm going to add my county in that so that we are 12. Madam Speaker, where will it end? Why can't people just have the wisdom of accepting what we have? I beg to oppose.
Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. Senator Mungatana, if you've not finished, have you finished?
I have not finished. I was just cut short, Madam
You
Speaker.
have a balance of 8 minutes.
Thank you, Madam
The
Speaker.
Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, 10th June 2025 at 2:30 p.m.